One of the places I feared most as a child was the basement of our apartment building. It was dark, cold, and damp. The light bulb rarely worked, and even when it did, its dim yellow glow made the walls look even darker. But my bicycle was down there, so no matter how scared I was, I had to go. I was 7 years old. Back then, I didn't fully understand what fear meant, but every time I went down, I felt something strange inside me. My heart would race, my breathing would quicken, and yet, out of stubbornness, I would descend the stairs, grab my bike, and rush back up. At first, I tried not to pay attention to the fear. After all, childhood fears were common. But one day, when I went down to get my bicycle, I heard something break the silence. At first it was very faint, like a whisper coming from behind the walls. I couldn't make out the words, but it almost sounded like someone was calling my name. I froze where I stood. In my mind, the only explanation was that my friends were hiding in the basement, trying to play a prank on me. At that age, it was the most logical thought I could have. But over time, the voices grew stronger. What started as a whisper began to sound like pleas for help. Help me. Muffled, drawn out, coming from deep within. My heart pounded so hard I could barely hold on to the handlebars of my bicycle. I would bolt upstairs, gasping for breath, collapsing by the entrance door of the building. Even as a child, there was an undeniable panic growing inside me that I couldn't explain. One evening I went down again to fetch my bicycle. This time, there was no sound. But my eyes caught something in the corner of the wall. Under the flickering light, I saw, just for a moment, the silhouette of a woman. Her long hair fell over her shoulders, but I couldn't see her face. I bit my tongue to stop myself from screaming, my legs trembling under me. Then, in an instant, the figure disappeared. I didn't take the bike. I ran upstairs as fast as I could and slammed the door so hard the neighbor from the floor above peeked out. I couldn't even speak. I was crying too hard. It took me a long time to calm down. I wanted to tell my parents, but no words came out. My mother hugged me tightly while my father kept asking, "What happened?" Finally, the knot in my throat loosened, and I whispered, "There's a woman in the basement." My father's expression hardened. He went down immediately, while I, too scared, couldn't bring myself to follow. Minutes later, he came back up, shrugged, and said, "There's nothing there." You imagined it, but I swore to him that I had seen her. For days after that, I couldn't go down alone. My bicycle stayed in the basement. I asked my friends for help. When I told them what I had seen, they burst out laughing. "Coward," they teased. I felt crushed, but I still begged them to come with me. Eventually, a few agreed. Together, we went down. Nothing happened. They laughed even more. "See? Nothing's there." But a few days later, one of them decided to prove his courage and went down alone. We waited upstairs. Only a few seconds passed before a piercing scream shook the building. He came running back up, tears streaming down his face. Out of breath, trembling, he stammered, "I saw a woman." The blood drained from our faces. It was the proof I needed. What I had seen was real. We told our families right away. This time, my mother looked at my father, and my father turned not to me, but to my friend. "Did you really see her?" My friend nodded, still crying. It was no longer a joke. My father decided to take it seriously. He called the police. "Maybe someone is hiding down there," he said. We children stood silent, shivering with fear. When the police arrived, all the neighbors gathered at the entrance, curious. The officers went down. There was silence at first, then they came back up, with strange expressions. "There's a very strong smell down there," they said. "Something's rotting." Every hair on my body stood on end. They called in a professional team. Hours later, men arrived with equipment and went down into the basement. My father went with them. I stayed upstairs, clinging to my mother. Time dragged on unbearably. Inside me, fear and curiosity twisted together. At last we heard voices, footsteps coming back up. The men's faces were pale. One of them said, "There's something behind the wall. The smell is coming from cracks in the bricks. We'll have to break it open." A heavy silence fell over everyone. When the wall was finally broken, there was a long pause. Then a voice echoed up. There's a body here." My mother screamed. I froze in place. My father came upstairs, avoiding my eyes. The body belonged to a woman. It was so decayed that it was impossible to identify her. The police immediately launched an investigation. Neighbors whispered, but no one dared say much aloud. For days, a heavy unease hung over our building. For us children, it was nothing less than a nightmare. Before long, though, my family decided we could no longer live there. We moved out. Still, my fear didn't fade. Every dark corner reminded me of that basement. In the end, we learned the truth. The landlord of the building had secretly hollowed out a space in the basement years before. He had murdered a woman and hidden her body behind the wall. Over time, water seeped in, rotting the bricks, releasing the smell. The voices I had heard came around that same time. The landlord was arrested, but the damage was done. That woman's spirit had lingered there, and we children that we were had hurt her. Years passed. I still can't set foot in basements. The darkness, the damp, the smell, it all comes back. My bicycle must have long since rusted away, but in my memory, it's still down there. One night, though, I dreamed of the woman. She looked at me, not frightening this time. Her lips moved, whispering thanks. Her eyes filled with tears. I woke up with a strange sense of peace. My fear had eased a little, because I understood then, she only wanted to be found. Trapped for years, she had finally been freed. And somehow, even as a child, I had helped her voice be heard.